Happy New Year, Josh here. Welcome to Frames Per Second. And so it's 2021 now, first day of the year. And so I thought in the spirit of New Year's and parties, we'd take a look at the Nishika N9000, the much famed 3D camera that makes your analog gifs. So that's what we're doing today. Let's get right to it. So there's two models of this. You have the Nishika and then you have the Nimslo. Now the Nishika, they have the 8000 and 9000, while the Nimslo is it has better quality materials. It actually has a glass lens, so it's supposed to be the better one, but it's also the most likely to break and less likely to find in working condition. While the Nishika versions, even though they're more plastic, the image quality isn't as good, they're more reliable. These are going for about $200 to $600 at the moment. And it is kind of crazy. It was kind of brought back into the light because of a music video. I forget which one it is, but I'm sure future Josh that's editing this will put something here. It's essentially a half-frame camera that takes 4 half-frame photos at the same time. And because the lens is kind of a little bit separated from each other, it kind of does create like a different field of view slightly. From that, you're kind of able to stitch it up in Photoshop. It's just a plastic toy camera. It's got plastic lenses on it, 4 of them. It's just got those 2 settings, an indoor and outdoor setting, and it actually has a hot shoe for a flash, which works most of the time. I will say when I did use it at a party, 1/3 of the time the flash didn't go off when it was meant to, so then I did end up wasting a few frames because of that. So yeah, you can just find any flash, even the modern flashes, anything that takes a hot shoe. And see, look, it definitely has a vibe, it definitely has an aesthetic, and there's definitely a market for it, especially if you want to be fun and experimental. But it's also a lot of work to create the gifs, which is why it's taken me this long to kind of get this video going. But the prices these cameras are going for are kind of insane for what they are. You could easily get a good quality SLR, which they're even overpriced now, but still for cheaper. And like, it's pretty easy to use. You basically just put your film in here, put it through there, close it, and advance. You don't need to put it into anything. You just kind of just put it there, and this will kind of close it, twist it around, and yeah, it will. You just keep an eye on this to make sure that's turning. But yeah, it's pretty much idiot proof in that way. Not every model of it's gonna be perfect, and there probably will be quite a few that just don't work properly. So when you want to take a photo, obviously you got to take it down so that the lens is there, but it kind of keeps the lenses clean for the most part and protects them a bit when you're not using it. I will say the viewfinder isn't that good or accurate. It's really thin and kind of hard to see, and then you always end up being more to one side than the other. Because of the 4 lenses, it can get really flary. Be careful of that when backlighting. As far as what kind of film you should use, I would recommend 200 at the lowest, which is what I did my fashion stuff with. 400 if you're using a flash. If you're not using a flash, 800, or if you still have some Natura or Superior 1600 around, or maybe even Delta 3200 or Kodak P-Max P3200, then maybe try it without a flash inside. But I would recommend a flash just because obviously this is f8 at the brightest. So it is said to kind of keep the subject between 10 to 17 feet, so that's roughly 3 meters to, I'd say, 5 maybe. And so there are some kind of close-ups I did do, which the subjects aren't sharp because it's kind of just like a set focal point. At the end of the day, is it a camera you need or should get? No, not really, but if you do want to create analog gifs, it's definitely a fun time. And there's not really any new ones being made. There has been a recent model, I forget what it's called, but it only has 3 lenses, which doesn't create the gif look as well. And I will show you a gif that I created with 3 images as well right now, which the only reason why there's 3 images is because it was the end of the roll and the 4th image kind of got cut off, so I couldn't really use it. I will say this 9000 version is a lot better than the 8000. There's a lot of fake stuff in the 8000 version, like they actually have like a metal bar in the bottom of it to make it feel heavier. so that it feels like it's a better camera, but it does nothing to it other than add weight. So I think the 9000 is more honest about what it is, which is it's a toy camera. So I'd recommend the 9000 over the 8000, but if you can find a working Nimzo, that is actually technically better quality, as long as you can get a working one, which is the harder thing to do. So now we're going to do a quick tutorial on how to make the Gifs. So you're going to want to have your 4 layers on top of each other. You can start from either end, and so what you want to do is turn off the top 2 layers and put the second layer at 40% opacity, because we're going to have to line up the images so that they're on top of each other the right way to get the right effect. So you want to usually pick a focal point. If it's a human being, try go for the eyes, but here obviously you can't see the eyes, so we're going to go with this decal on his hat. And that's because you kind of want the environment to move behind and around them, but you want the subject to be in the middle still. Put it back to 100% opacity, then start layer 3, 40%, line up, and then layer 4, 40%, line up. You kind of get the idea, but yeah, you'll just have to do this with all of them, and yeah, it's not that hard. And then once you've got all that sorted, then you want to crop it. So essentially you want to turn off layers 1 to 3 and just have layer 4, because obviously that's the one that's been moved the most. But you also want to double check your other layers, because sometimes they might be moved up or down a little bit compared to the other ones, just so you know where to crop it so that the image is fully there when you make the GIF. And so here we're just going to crop a little bit from the bottom because it's a little bit there, and then obviously here on the side we want to crop all that, and the top we don't want to be seeing that blue line there, so we're going to crop that too. But yeah, essentially that's your frame, and that's what your GIF is going to be seeing. Then you want to go window, and then you want to select timeline. For some reason my screen capturing program didn't show the windows that I pulled down there, but then you want to go create a timeline here from the images, so you want to have those selected on your side there, otherwise they won't appear in the timeline. Then you want to zoom in, and we're going to make this 4 frame increments with each layer. Now this is at 30 frames per second. I did play around with 24 frames per second, but it just didn't give the right kind of GIF look, so it might be a little bit off in this video because this video is 24 frames, but the GIFs I made were at 30, so it might just be a little bit off because of the frame rate difference. But yeah, I accidentally recorded my talking video in 24 frames, so that's what we got, guys. But yeah, and then so it will end at 24th frame, and you don't want, so we're going to peel back layer 3 and 4 here, 4 frames as well, but you want it to end on layer 2 because it's just going to repeat. And so layer 1, you don't want double of that. So obviously when we repeat it, it's going to start layer 1 again. And so we're going to put this on loop, and then we're going to hit space to kind of render it. And then you'll kind of see the GIF effect. Now this image isn't the best image to kind of see the look, just because we're a bit further away and the subject and the background are rather close to each other, but you would have seen from GIFs earlier in this video kind of how it looks. But yeah, this is kind of just the gist of how to do it. I think you get the idea, and this is really just a quick tutorial. I could do a longer one if you want me to, and hopefully I can use a better screen capturing program so that you see all the tabs and everything that I'm pressing. But then we basically just export that with this little icon here, and there you go. We have ourselves a GIF. I hope you liked the video, guys. Please let me know your thoughts on the GIFs in the comment below, and just the camera. Does it actually interest you? Let me know. And like maybe I will do more videos with it. It would just take longer to do. But anyway, please like and subscribe. Turn on post notifications so you know when there's a new video. Anyway, I'm Josh. This has been Frames Per Second. Happy New Year, everyone. It's 2021. Hopefully this year's a lot more exciting. But anyway, just get out there, and as long as you do it safely and shoot some film.